you're never going to be given the evidence of what you are. And this is the initiation process that you have to go through. So many people want to understand the nature of reality by outsourcing their knowledge or wisdom to somebody else. And they expect that that person or that thing will be the one to kind of give them something, like some kind of piece of proof. But it doesn't work like that. And so many people get stuck on this path for a very long time because they don't realize that what they've been doing is looking for somebody else or something to give them something that they can then keep, that will then like maintain their awakening. So most people go to, like I did, I went to psychedelics teachers. I went, all across the world, spent £30,000 on a year's trip to seek in this way. And I was looking for a guru who was going to give me something, prove something to me, so that then I could take that proof and go, I know it's true because this guru told me, or this person said this, or I found this, or I seen this. That's not how you receive or understand truth. You have to go through the rite of passage. And the rite of passage is that you cannot find any external evidence or proof from somebody else in order to understand truth. Okay, you can find evidence in the sense that people can guide us and point us. But on the highest level, we will never be able to be receptive to truth if we are constantly seeking for somebody else to give us the truth. Truth is found within ourselves, not externally from what somebody else says. Now, obviously, everything really is within us, so even the external teacher, so to speak, is within us. But from that point of view, when you're in that level, on that level of the path, from your point of view, that person is a separate entity. Because if you didn't see them as a separate entity, you wouldn't even be contemplating the question. You wouldn't even be having a problem with this. You would just be free and happy and you wouldn't even care. So from your point of view, it basically has to come from within yourself. You cannot find proof from something else. Nobody else is going to give that to you. You're not going to be able to find it in the world. It has to be your own understanding that comes from your own direct experience, which comes from your own wisdom, which comes from your own perspective. So what that means is that you have to come to a place where you realize there is absolutely no one on this earth that will ever be a higher authority on truth other than myself. Yes, that means Jesus, Buddha, your favorite, modern contemporary teacher, whoever you can imagine, they are not the authority on truth. You are. You have to treat it that way. And therefore, you must use then these guides as opportunities to point back to yourself. All I do on YouTube is present an opportunity and an invite. I don't care to tell people who don't care about this, anything about this. You clicking the video is your opening of my invitation. And in the video, I present a way that I see the world. I present my truth. You could completely disagree with that, but it doesn't matter. You just go somewhere else. If you find intuitive resonance with what I say, it's because you are receptive to the invitation I'm presenting. But my invitation is not to give you anything, because I can't. In this body-mind, I can't give you a single thing. You have to see what I say and use it as inspiration and direction to explore your own experience. But the seeking paradigm enforces outsourcing your thinking and outsourcing your intelligence and outsourcing your autonomy to something or someone else. So do you see how it is literally impossible to be receptive, fully receptive to truth and understanding and freedom when you give away your autonomy and your authority on truth to something or someone else? Because the whole purpose of what they're doing, at least they should be, is to give you this autonomy to then explore your experience. And what it looks like on a practical level is that you unapologetically trust yourself over anybody else. It's the initiation for truth. It's basically a form of insanity. To some people, it is insane. It's an insane thing to do, to put yourself in the as the leading authority on truth over your own experience. But there's no other way. So it comes to a stage where you kill the Buddha, so to speak. You remove the Buddha. You take away everything that you've been learning, everything that you've been taught, and you basically start as though you are completely new. It's kind of like giving up on letting anybody else tell you what is true. And you have to go there 100%. And all of a sudden then, you're going to start hearing, ooh, hold on a minute. There was this thing that this guy said this one time. And you go back to it and you go, oh, I didn't hear it like this before. And now that you're not taking wisdom from somebody else, you're activating your own wisdom. And then your own wisdom is giving you a new pair of ears and a new pair of eyes. And you're going to now see and hear things in a very different way. So before I met my teacher, I had the idea that I was going to get wisdom from somebody else, and their wisdom was going to give me something that would then make me trust and believe my own experience enough to then give myself permission to be free. I'd already had the experience. I already understood that I'm basically God and that we all share the same being and that everything is made of God, right? I'm being briefly metaphorical here, but it's basically that. I already understood this, but it didn't make me free. I still went on in the world seeking, suffering, and trying to understand something that I sort of thought I already understood, so I couldn't reconcile. If I understand it, well, why isn't it working, so to speak? Again, that attitude was me believing that I can't be free because I must have a reason to be free. I must have a teacher to teach me. I must have this person to do this. I must have to have seen something now. I must have to have a different state of mind. And all these conditions were just a list of conditions preventing my happiness from being unconditional. I believed I needed this, this, and this. I had to have this state or that thing. Or if I'm truly enlightened, I can't get angry and all this nonsense. It's absolute BS. It's complete and utter nonsense. The only way you'll ever activate your true wisdom and be completely free is when you put yourself in the position of highest authority over what is true. And then anyone else then that talks about this, even my videos, it's merely there to represent an opportunity for you to guide yourself through this process. You will never be guided truly by somebody else. You'll only ever be guided by yourself. And the true people who guide, they do not outsource. They do not let you outsource your wisdom to them. They help inspire and activate the wisdom in you. So for as long as you're consistently in this dualistic relationship between the teacher and your guru, and the guru is constantly just trying to bang bash you with random nonsense about being present and doing this and being that, this stuff doesn't work, obviously, until you activate your wisdom. Then you'll hear it. This isn't a problem of teachers with the wrong intention. It's more of an issue with teachers not quite knowing how to teach. It's more of an issue with teachers not quite having a higher standard with how and what they share. So this is exactly, my whole past 10 years has been based on this understanding. As much as it's been understanding my true nature, it's been about how do you articulate that? At least the past 6 or 7 years since I met my teacher, it became clear to me that there's something that isn't quite aligned. And the thing that's not quite aligned is that I don't think there's a true standard for teaching. I don't think there's a true standard for helping people activate their own autonomy and wisdom. It's kind of like the teachers subconsciously, in my experience, don't realize, and again, this isn't to do with their realization. They could be fully realized whatever. This is about the standard of capacity that they have to teach. It's a skill thing, and it's about understanding how do you communicate in the best and most efficient and effective way? How do you be clear and precise? How do you deeply understand the situation somebody's in so that you can accurately provide a guide? You see, you don't stand over the other end of the bridge and just be like, yeah, it's over here. It's all over here. Like, being is here. I know you're over there, but being is here, so just come over here. You've got to actually walk across the bridge if your choice is to do this type of stuff. You don't have to do it, but if you do, then why wouldn't you? So the thing to see clearly is that most people don't actually want to understand truth. They just want to remove their suffering. And most teachers don't know that. So then what happens is a student goes to a teacher and says, "Hey, sir, can you please help me understand my true nature?" And then they say, "Yes, of course, let me help you. Come over here to the water. Look," they try to take their hand and drag that person over to the water of truth. The person doesn't actually want to go there. So the person's like, "Yeah, but all this and this and this." And their mind will create loads of complexities. And the teacher goes, "No, these are just mental complexities. We don't need to go there. These are just, you're seeking, no, we're going to avoid that. Look, come over here to the water. Just come with me." The person's like, "No, I don't want to go to the water because I have all this, this and this and this. And I don't want to go all the way to the truth because," and then they'll start reconditioning all their patterns. But then the teacher doesn't realize that, you know, the analogy of taking the horse to the water, and you can take it to the water, but you can't make it drink. Well, you can't take it to the water either. Teachers think you can take the person who believes themselves to be separate to the water. You can't. They have to go to the water and they have to drink. But a lot of teachers, what they try to do is drag you to the water, thinking if this person wants to understand truth, perfect, let's get to the water. And they'll try to drag you there. This creates resistance. They bypass the mental complexities that are preventing that person from actually understanding and being receptive. And then they try to force feed the water into the horse's mouth. This is a challenge with teaching. It's not a challenge with them. It's also a challenge with that teacher's own integration of this truth, their own capacity to let that bleed into the rest of the world. Because what it truly takes in a situation like that, where that person doesn't actually want to be drinking the water of truth, they want to be taking the antidote to suffering. They want to, and these are two very different things. Removing your suffering is different to wanting to understand truth. Two very, very, very different things. And it's the skill of the teacher to be capable of seeing when is it that this person is thinking they want to drink from the water of truth, but really they just want to remove their suffering. Because if they just want to remove their suffering and the teacher's trying to take them to the water of truth, that teacher is no longer teaching. They're superimposing a belief that isn't true onto someone who believes themselves to be separate and falling into the problem that this student has. Do you see that? They want to then change the student. It's just, let me take you out of your suffering and just get you to the water of truth, and then just get your head down there and just slurp it up. They're doing that. I've seen it done to myself, and I've seen it done in the landscape. This is a huge thing to wake up to. And this, what we're waking up to right now with what I'm sharing, is the evolution of the teaching. God forbid the teaching evolves. God forbid we get better and better at providing opportunities and invites to this understanding. This is exactly what's happening. We're getting better and better at understanding that. Otherwise, why talk about it at all? So then we have to answer the question, to what extent do I prioritize clarity in what I say over quantity of what I say? Most people, they prioritize quantity. Repeat the same things all over again. They don't realize you cannot be receptive to truth if the individual is using that truth to remove their suffering. So unless we see that and we get good at and helping others understand that too, we're just kind of making noise, basically. We're just making noise. And the intention that we have of providing a clear, accurate vibration, if you want to call it, of truth and clarity gets distorted. So it actually contradicts the purpose of even showing up and talking at all. The academy that I'm creating primarily focuses on this. It's going to be launching soon, but if you're interested in that and getting information, join the free community where I actually host meditations and conversations every week on Thursdays. So if you want to join, I'd love to see you there. The main point in this video is be the authority on your truth and understanding to the extent that you are trusting yourself enough to be wrong. You have to be willing to be wrong. You have to be willing to live your truth and then be proven wrong. It takes that level of trust and courage. And then use guides on the level that they're at, which is to point you back to activating your own wisdom, your own intellect, and your own autonomy. Have an amazing day, guys. Take care.